No, we here at Thraben University, we're pretty confident that we can pilot just about anything to a reasonable fit. What is that? Oh, so that's what we're doing today, huh? Buckle up, this one's gonna be spicy. Hello folks, Phil Gallagher aka ThrabenU here for another Legacy video, and today we are going to try to win a game of Magic with Hedron Alignment. Now this thing's hexproof, so it protects itself, and it's going to need that protection. At the beginning of my upkeep, I can reveal my hand. I win the game if I own a Hedron Alignment in exile, in hand, in the graveyard, and on the battlefield. Now, that's a pretty big ask, so I'm not going to expect to do this very many times throughout the league, but hopefully we can do it at least once here. And let's take a look at some of the tools that are going to enable us to actually pull this off. First up is Intuition. Intuition is neat because it can put one of these in two of the appropriate zones, right? This can put one in hand, and this can put one in graveyard at the same time. That covers two of the bases. But you can start running into some problems where your opponent goes and makes choices for you that leave you with, say, two of these in the graveyard. So we're going to need something, or maybe multiple things, to get around that exact scenario. So we could go and build an intuition pile that has something like Savine's Reclamation, where we do with our intuition, we do 2 copies of Hedron Alignment and then the Savine's Reclamation. If the Savine's Reclamation goes to our hand, guess what? We have 1 in hand, we have 1 in the graveyard. That's 2 of our 3 down. Good stuff. Now, in Legacy, you will often pitch cards to Force of Will or Force of Negation, and if we end up with 2 copies of our thing in exile, we, oddly enough, do have a way to get one of them back. We can go ahead and use Riftsweeper to pull one from exile back into our library. Well, what if we end up with too many copies in the graveyard and Savine's Reclamation is already gone? Enter Colossal Sky Turtle, which could just be a 6/5 flying beater when we need it to be, or it has a channel effect that lets us return a card from our graveyard to our hand to rebuy one of our necessary cards. And kind of the last card that I want to highlight here is Tamiyo Completed Sage, which doesn't really see much play. I do want to make a quick rules note here. If you take a look at the hybrid mana symbol on this card, this is completed mana, which is basically Phyrexian mana with an extra step. If you pay the Phyrexian mana, if you pay the 2 life, the Planeswalker enters with fewer loyalty counters. So what we care about for this card is the negative X ability, which we'll be activating for X is 3. An exile target non-land permanent with mana value X from our graveyard to create a token that's a copy of that card. Well, what does that do for us? That allows us to get 1 into play and 1 into exile with the same card here, which is already strong. Or I guess pretty strong if you're trying to win with Hedron Alignment. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the whole deck list here now. I want to take this moment to mention that this video is sponsored by both Cool Stuff Inc. and Moxfield.com. If you end up wanting to buy any of these cards or other things, maybe from the recent Lord of the Rings set, promo code ThrabenU will save you 5% on your order. All right, so here is the absolute monstrosity of a deck list, and I say that in the most loving way possible that Matthew sent me. We are going to be playing sort of a Bant Yorion shell to hold everything that we have together here. So we have a decent amount of controlling elements, and we do have some cards that are capable of winning the game on their own without requiring 4 different things to happen. And admittedly, we can also just intuition for a couple copies of Uro if things get tight, and it seems like we need to try to win the game now. While normally I mess with the deck lists quite a bit, or at least tinker with them or think about it a bit before playing with them, I'm going to run this one as is. This one is crazy enough and has enough moving parts that I don't know what I can take out or change without kind of messing everything up. So most of the stuff that's here will be pretty familiar to a legacy audience. One kind of cute thing that's also in here is Hall of Heliod's Generosity. This is another way for us to rebuy one of our Hedron alignments that ended up in the graveyard. I suppose one of the only things that might not be super familiar to the legacy audience here is Faithful Mending, which is sort of like Faithless Looting, except it also has some life gain attached to it and a slightly higher mana cost. So yeah, we're gonna see if in 5 rounds, and I will play all 5 today, even if we 0-4, we're gonna see that if in 5 rounds we can win a single game with Hedron Alignment. That is sort of my personal challenge to myself. Let's see if we can do it. This is one of the crazier things we've done on this channel. This is a pretty big challenge, but let's battle. So I'm not sure that I like this opening hand. The Urza Saga is something that I want much later in the game. If I keep this hand, I have to ponder looking for more land so that the Urza Saga becomes a reasonable plan. And the disappearing land is pretty bad with this stuff that I have over here. This is going to be very reasonable versus combo and pretty bad versus anything that's not combo. I think I'm just going to mulligan twice. Say la vie? Yeah, sure. No, this is fine. I'm going to keep this and put back 2 removal spells. I think I'm going to keep the swords over prismatic ending. And I fully just need lands here. It's not perfect, but it'll do. No shuffle here. And we've got to hope our opponent is not on combo. I'm going to reset this stop. I had to remove it for a modern game I was playing. By the way, I'm recording this on June 20th, so Orcish Bowmasters is technically available on Magic Online. It is currently north of $50, though. So I will get you some Bowmasters content literally as soon as I can. And if I've already released Bowmasters content before this video, I definitely always release the videos in order of recording, always. They gave that a long think before not shuffling. We could be playing against Doomsday, we could be playing against an Orcish Bowmasters deck. That's a little unlikely. They are so incredibly hard to get a hold of right now. The Cephalid Breakfast deck. I am just going to swords this now. It's not a primary threat, but I'm kind of locked into trying to do stuff with this Uro with my mana next turn, I think. I don't know that this Teferi is better than Uro. Like, both of these give me a card, but the Teferi gives me a card in a way where the Teferi is less usable afterwards. Okay, sure. Alright, they've got something. Another fetch land could get me to Uro next turn. Okay, we are playing against Cephalid Breakfast. And I am dead. In case you're not familiar with the combo, what happens here is that my opponent will target Cephalid Illusionist with Nomads in core repeatedly and mill themselves out. They will then cast a Dread Return, returning a Thassa's Oracle. Okay, so they're at the point where they've milled themselves a couple of times. Some Narcomoebas entered. They're going to cast a Cabal Therapy, targeting themselves to put their Thassa's Oracle into their graveyard. Yep. And they cast Dread Return, targeting Thassa's Oracle. And that results in them winning the game. So I have a bunch of things that kind of do stuff that interact with my opponent. And I'm probably going to say this just about every round. This is just ultimately too slow for any sort of combo matchup. That said, my deck is not particularly good at winning the game. Like, if I don't play these as a way to potentially win the game, then basically have like 4 Uros, 2 Turtles. And Tamiyo's probably not winning the game on its own. So yeah, I think we're probably stuck with these or very close to it. The issue is, like, a lot of my interaction doesn't technically stop them from comboing off. And the more resources I dedicate towards the unfair stuff, the worse I get versus the fair stuff. And I can just, like, very easily die to, like, Baleful Strikes with a Shuko on it or whatever. Mary's Guile is expendable. If I win these games, they're going to go long. I don't necessarily... maybe I just need any and all interaction, even if it is going to get phased out as the game goes long. Tamiyo's very slow here. I don't know how much of the, like, nonsense support. I can afford to cut. Let's do this. Let's do a couple of surgical extractions. And I'm already kind of out of time for sideboarding. I want dress down. Dress down can come at the cost of a preordain, I guess. Uh, this is another one-lander, which I really don't want with this deck. Like, I need 3 lands to function and do anything that matters. I don't think I'm comfortable keeping a one-lander with this deck. Yikes. Okay. I've got a plan. Plan is win a game with an Urza Saga, I think. I think this becomes a tropical island. So that if I get an Uro a little bit later, it becomes good. And I think I'm going to get Scrabbling Claws going. And if you're not familiar with this one, it's very similar to Relic of Progenitus. But it's not symmetrical, so you can keep your own Uros and such. Okay, yeah, sure. And every time a card hits my opponent's graveyard, I will be tapping the Claws. We're going to try to keep their graveyard in check. The smaller their graveyard is, the better chance I have at just using this to disrupt something that matters without cracking it. Not a fan of this. So I am fully at the mercy of the top card of my deck being a land. Alternatively, I can just junk this card to draw a card and try to hit that next land drop. I should have technically responded to that by removing that card from the graveyard. Maybe that's not fully true, because this leaves a target for the claws, because unlike Relic, this does require a target. That is an illusionist. I think I do just counter that still. Pitching the alignment and try to get there with Urza Saga. I am going to very reluctantly junk this to try to hit my next land drop naturally, which I have failed on. So I will ponder so I can attempt to make an Urza Saga token next turn. Nope. Nope. Cool. Oh, that's fine. Narrator's voice. It was very much not fine. I've fully lost this game due to stumbling over my own mana here. The cost of having Urza Saga in my deck here is extremely high. I mulliganed my first hand because of an Urza Saga, and I had to play suboptimally on my second hand to try to lean into Urza Saga working, and it failed. Yeah, that's happening. I can exile that with a Haywire Might at some point or something. Yep, that's fine. That is probably going to be the thing that I... Oh. No, cool. No, I did exactly want another Urza Saga. Thanks. Alright, Currency Converter is the only thing that I can get. I guess I'm playing that. Go ahead and loot. Desperately try to hit another land. Fail. Go insane. I guess Brainstorm is going back. Or going to discard, rather. Doesn't matter too much what it is. Because, like, it's a 2-2. And it's going to go to that zone anyway. Alright, so we'll eat Urza Saga. But I'm in very bad shape. And if I miss my next land drop, I, like, again get no Urza Saga based value. I don't really want to use counterspells on that, but if I don't use a counterspell on this, I'm not using a counterspell on anything. So here we go. Alright, yep. If my currency converter just gets bounced for value, I would do that in their spot. We'll see, though. They might want to use it to take care of my second Urza Saga token, depending on what their hand looks like. So they might leave me with the currency converter. Like, bouncing the currency converter denies a 2-2 rogue, which seems pretty good right now. Okay, they're going to go with the Urza Saga instead. That's fine. Alright. I ate some damage. Don't have white mana for a Prismatic Ending. I believe I just ponder here. Okay. Can gain access to some white mana. Going to go ahead and just play that. Fetch to clear. Grab a Tundra and pass. I'm trying not to just like play Urza Saga and just immediately go back into this disappearing land game. I want to use my mana on the next turn to Prismatic Ending Baleful Strix. So if I play Urza Saga, can't do that. Note here at any point, I am full dead to my opponent just having the combo. And their non-combo permanents are still just a problem for me. Sure. Alright, yeah, no Baleful Strix attack. Kind of as expected here. I'll go ahead and make my Rogue, which my opponent is hoping to trade with Baleful Strix here. Is this an Urza Saga turn? Alternatively, do I just Prismatic Ending to Fairy? I think this is an Urza Saga turn. And I think I'm going to try to high roll here. Because I don't know if I'm winning if I don't high roll. Like, I can play Trop and try to go after the Teferi directly. But I think I've got to try to get both of my opponent's permanents here. Looks like I am going to fail. Oh, cool, I didn't fail. That's a pleasant surprise. Again, though, like, can be dead to the combo at any moment. There's 5 mana for it. Okay, cool. I'm just going to make a land drop and try to lean on Urza Saga tokens becoming good before my opponent combos off and kills me. 6 mana. No plays. My opponent probably has, like, partial. Ooh, do I brainstorm in response? I probably brainstorm in response here. I can maximize my shuffle. Oh, that's awkward. But I kind of want to hold this up. At the end of the day, I also need to just kill my opponent, though. I'm going to value trying to kill my opponent more highly than holding up interaction. Again, I'm out of artifacts here. Ship in for 5. Puts my opponent to 8. And tapping out for that means that they are dead next turn, so they have to win this turn. Yeah, if you got it, you got it. Oh, you don't got it. So I don't use a swords, I just force them to block here, I believe. And then I can hold up Swords to Plowshares and Currency Converter. I'm good with this. This puts them to 3 and actually leaves me in an okay spot. Not good, because I'm still just terrified. Yes. Come on. Alright, well, we won a game. But I think that was because my opponent's deck failed, not necessarily because my deck was good there. Alright, I am 3 games in, and I can already tell you that Urza Saga does not belong in this deck. This has made 3 different hands basically unkeepable in 1 round. Alright, I don't think this deck has enough land in it. I don't think I pitched this one. It has a very large amount of interaction. I'm just going to kind of pray that I don't get brainstorm locked. I've got some spicy lions where I can surgical myself to shuffle if I do brainstorm lock myself. But at the point where I have to do something like that, I've already lost. Okay, I don't want to brainstorm on turn 1. I'm just going to get a tapped land out of play. Yeah, I don't think we can afford something like this when we have like Urza Sagas and Halls of Heliod's Generosity in our mana base. Sure. Pretty bad versus fair stuff right now, and pretty good versus the unfair portion of their deck. I'm hoping that the Sylvan Library resolves and makes me good against the fair portion as well. Alright. Didn't we really want another surgical extraction? But here we are. I'm going to attempt Sylvan Library here. I think I do Force of Will to protect this. At least in play. My opponent has some pretty good plays, like Teferi Bounce. Yeah, that's fine. Alright, so they've got 2 fetch lands to clear that brainstorm. Just in case it happens. Orcish Bowmaster would be a little annoying, huh? Yeah, I'm just hemorrhaging my life total here, I think. I just physically need a decent number of cards so that I can interact with my opponent. And I'm hoping to find a fetch land so that I can get rid of at least one of these surgical extractions here. My mana's like surprisingly bad. Wizard cycle. Can't do anything about that. They've got the Illusionist. Half of the combo's confirmed, but I have a decent amount of ability to fight back through it. Need to Force of Will that, because I sure as heck can't pressure it. Force of Will that. Pitching a Brainstorm here. I will have to Brainstorm for another counterspell if that resolves. Okay, cool. We're good. I don't think I end of turn Brainstorm. I think I have to just chill on this for a little while longer. I want nothing to do with these Urza sagas. I might just have to play it anyway. I don't have a fetch land here to clear things. So I'm going to go ahead and put this back on top. Apparently I did that wrong. I want both of these. Alright. Well, I did that wrong. So let's deal with my mistake by trying to brainstorm through it. Okay, cool. I found a fetch land. That is nice. I can put back a surgical. My life total is quite low. And a Hedron Alignment. I think I need to fetch here. I can't play Urza Saga. This needs to be green for Uro purposes. Second Savannah. Gives me white in case I need to double spell. Yeah, just like not a fan. Force of Negation. Sure. Yes. I will need to remove this, as my life total is quite precious right now. But that's why we got a second white source with our fetch land, so that we could Prismatic Ending something away while still keeping Swords to Plowshares up. Alright, what are we working with here? Pretty good cards. I think I only get to take one of them, though. Go ahead and put that on top. Yeah, God, this Urza Saga is going to fuck me again in a different way. I can't, like, Prismatic Ending Baleful Strix while leaving up Force of Negation because Urza Saga is not colored mana. Yuck. So, like, I'll make this as a land drop, but I'm very much not happy about it. No, I mean while also leaving up Swords to Plowshares, which I think I need to do. Alright, so Strix is out. I've got Dress Down, plus Swords, plus Surgical Extraction up simultaneously. I have a Force of Will. I'm hoping to not to have to use that. I let that resolve. And now comes the point where I try to decide whether or not I can just beat my opponent's combo attempt. I think I try to beat it. Like, I can fully stop it. I just have such a wide variety of things here. I think I let them go for it. Alright, it begins. I'm gonna let that hit play. Not gonna surgical those. Wall Therapy targeting me will resolve. Alright, they hit Force of Will. I still have 3 pieces of interaction up, but my opponent now knows about this. So I guess I have to worry about just dying to Narcomoebas now. I was hoping my opponent would be much deeper in their deck and would have to commit to it. Now I'll just go ahead and remove this. Alright, they are letting that occur. This is an intricate game. Hedron Alignment is definitely going on top. I don't think I can realistically pay the life and go to 1. But doing so lets me leave up Urza Saga and Dress Down at the same time, or Urza Saga and Force of Negation at the same time simultaneously, so maybe I just do. Pretty easy to just lose to something like a Baleful Strix if I do that, though. I think I just put the land on top of my library. Yes, that is happening. This is why I didn't want to go to 1. I don't really like the spot that I'm in. I'll go ahead and make my token. It's a 1/1. I am just fully going to trade here. Like, my Urza Saga tokens are going to die anyway if I have to cast Dress Down. Yep. Alright, Sylvan Library, be good to me. 2 mana to Prismatic Ending. 2 mana to activate Urza Saga. Still have Force of Negation available. while making another land drop. That's fine, I think. Oh wait, I wanted to prismatic ending. Sorry, I got lost in my own thoughts there. This is fine. This still holds up Force of Negation. And I can Haywire Might to get rid of the Strix instead. That's fine. May end up being just as good. Well, I'm not dying. So there's that. The Strix crashes in. Am I willing to commit Haywire Might to killing that? I think so. It's non-creature. F. Alright, I'm taking that damage then. I should have gotten Currency Converter. Yeah, I could have looted here. Uro's very good. Uro's very, very good. Force of Negation goes on top. Actually, I think I'm going to do this the other way. I think I'm going to put Teferi on top. Then Force of Negation on top. Cast an Uro. This lets me draw Force of Negation. I can pitch to my Force of Negation while holding up Dress Down. I don't think I am attacking in here. We are both in danger of timing out this game. And by the way, in sideboarding, this is why I was talking about like the dangers of like playing too many cards oriented against the combo side of the deck. Because like my deck is bad enough that the like a couple of 1/1s are a real threat to me after a bunch of Sylvan Library damage. Also, my brain is a potato. This has been a slog. Okay, Haywire Might answers that. This is fine. And I'll take a little bit of Baleful Strix damage. Going to 6. Take out that Saga. Gain a little more life. Does make this construct into a 1/1. I'm going to put Riftsweeper on top. And Teferi on top. I always want this land drop. Let's Uro. I'll have a couple pieces of interaction up. A Force of Will is happening. I can't quite Force of Negation that. I will try again, presumably next turn. Okay, both are going to crash in. That's fine. I will keep trading away these constructs happily. Going to 7. Yeah, that's fine. I'd like to just like find a fetch land or anything that can go to graveyard here so that I can bring back Uro this turn. There's a fetch land. Riftsweeper can go back. Teferi can go back. Wait, can I 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3? I can do both. I will pay the life for that then. This brings me to 2. I will fetch. Green, green, blue, blue. Doesn't matter too much. This is blue, blue, white, Teferi, green, green, blue, blue. All right, I get to Uro. Bring me back to 5. No graveyard for the purposes of Savine's Reclamation. I am just going to go ahead and bounce that out of play. My opponent attacks Teferi with Baleful Strix. I get to just Uro crash in for 6 safely. Yes. Again, timeout very much looking like a thing here. Second Baleful Strix makes my play super awkward. Whatever. I will Savine's Wreck it back. Yes. With double Force of Negation and Surgical available, I think that's fine. Alright, that Dread Return is in graveyard. I can surgically extract that at any point. Thassa's Oracle isn't in there yet. Fine to continue. Alright, Thassa's Oracle is now in the graveyard, as is the Cabal Therapy. Am I good to just let my opponent continue? The Cabal Therapy me, they name Force of Negation. And then I still have Surgical Extraction for Dread Return. They Cabal Therapy me name the Surgical that they know about. Then I still have Force of Negation for the Dread Return. This is still fine. Yes, this is still fine. Yep, but I have double Force of Negation for Dread Return. So that is just covered. Okay, that's fine. Okay. Your last card, Spell Pierce. I have double Force of Negation, though. Yeah, alright. Force of Negation. It's Dress Down? Yep. Alright, so they're going to die to decking themselves then? Okay, yeah. Ugh. There's 50 minutes and 34 seconds of brutal slog. GG's. I'm very surprised we won. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, which is just the best place to host your online deck lists, and I don't think it's close. I think it's wonderfully organized, and you can have a great system of folders so that you can go through, separate your decks by whatever you want. I separate mine by format. I have just a few legacy decks, and Moxfield is able to keep track of all the decks that even someone like me makes, so please consider checking them out. All right, round 2. Orcish Bowmasters has gone up by about $30 in the 50 minutes that it took me to record the previous round. It's up to like $79 now. This window has randomly resized, so that's a thing. I still don't have enough mana. I guess I'm going to keep this. Let's get this over here. Fine-tune that in a second as my opponent plays. All right, Misty Rainforest. We delvering? We are delvering. So I've got a prismatic ending for that. The big question is, am I going to tackle that on turn 1? Do I have basics in this deck list? I do. The issue with that, though, is that I can't actually have all 3 of my colors because I don't have enough land. And if I get plains, that doesn't contribute towards Uro. So not super happy with this situation. I think I'm going to wait to play Prismatic Ending around days here. And just grab a tropical island and play Currency Converter. Then play. Let's see if Delver naturally flips. I would hope no. Flips to Force of Will. Cool, cool, cool. Really glad I waited to play Prismatic Ending around days. I am at 16. And life is officially bad. I don't have enough mana. My removal spell probably gets countered. And I'm like never land heavy enough to actually get treasures out of this. I just need to make my land drops. Alright. Let's attempt this. This is a pretty good Force of Will target. My opponent may not remove it, depending on what the texture of the rest of their hand looks like. It's most devastating for me if they just like have a Spell Pierce here to answer that and still have Force of Will backing it up. Yep, nope, that's cool. Alright. Cool. So I am now most scared of Wastelands, probably. Although a Murktide Regent coming down wouldn't really be good for me either. I'm at 13. Okay, cool. There's not another creature, but that means there's a lot of interaction left over there. Let's see if we can Uro and get an extra land drop here. They had it all. They absolutely had it all. Welp, I'm dead. It's gonna take a few turns for me to die, but we don't have enough cards in graveyard to really do something super profitable with Uro. And I know my opponent still has Force of Will, so I can't get like super cute with Intuition. I think I make a land drop pass and cast an Intuition in their upkeep. Maybe fetch a Tundra here. Do an Intuition targeting you. I get no Surd. 1, 2, 3, 4. Fetch land is 5. There's some hope that Uro can resolve. There's less hope. Okay, it did shuffle. Oh, am I just straight up dead to double bolt here? I am straight up dead to double bolt. Oh no? Price of Progress? What are we doing? Oh, I see. It's an extra instant or sorcery in the graveyard for Murktide Regent. Okay, I'm not dead. My opponent's on 0 cards, but I'm on a very specific out. I can cast a Brainstorm and draw 2 removal spells, or I can cast an Uro and draw Swords to Plowshares. Do I have anything like a Supreme Verdict in the main deck? I do. Blue, white, white, 1. I think I'm going to look for Supreme Verdict here rather than go for an Uro line. I guess I can tap Trop. Okay, let's go for it. I can play Uro. I guess these Hedron alignments are going back. Okay. Still technically live here. Green, green, blue, blue. I can cast Uro and hit Swords to Plowshares exactly to get rid of Murktide Regent. That is not Swords to Plowshares. Yeah, so I am unfortunately dead. Like, I can get rid of Delver, but Murktide Regent just kills me. Ugh. Well, my sideboard options don't really look great here. I think I'll play Terminus. I'm not super excited about a lot of the rest of this stuff, like Blusterstorm and the Claws, I suppose, are technically playable. The Claws is so much weaker than like a Relic would be, though, because it's just exiles a card. I don't think I want to try to fight my opponent on mana efficiency with Spell Pierce. I think I'm going to play copies of Terminus, hope Miri's Guile and Sylvan the Library can help set that up. And I'm going to get rid of one random card that supports the Hedron alignment things. There's no way I can assemble Hedron alignments versus a deck with as much pressure as Blue-Red Delver. This has mana, but makes no plays at all until turn 3. I don't really think that's acceptable. I don't think this hand is good. However, I will be keeping it. And, yeah. Hopefully, like, Faithful Mending finds us an Uro or something like that. Alright, my opponent had to take care of some stuff real quick. Alright, so let's see. I'm on a mold to 6 here. I'm going to keep this. I'm going to throw the Terminus back into the deck for later. And I could play this in a way where I don't get Wastelanded, but I'm not going to do that. I want to save this fetch land for later in case I have to shuffle off like a Brainstorm or something. Okay. Say la vie. I don't regret it. Second Wasteland would be pretty rough, but the first one feels recoverable. I would still like to Brainstorm and fetch next turn if possible. If I could ask. Alright, Bobble's no big deal. I'm gonna do that targeting me, just get some information here. Alright, no threat, which is great. That means I can Faithful Mending, try to kind of clear out some of this crap from my hand. And I mostly just want... I just want, like, more land. Alright, no end of turn Brainstorm from my opponent either. Probably no Delver in their hand. Beardane is fine. Alright, they took one of those. Nice, my opponent watches all my videos. Well, you're in one, friend, and if I can string together a win against you. Okay, they've got a counterspell of some kind. They've tapped and untapped that island. I do not believe this is Force of Will worthy, but there is some cost to not fighting over that card. It's just like pretty bad to Force of Will against like soft counters like Spell Pierce and Daze. You lose a lot for doing that. But I don't really have the tools that I might want in the sideboard to like replace the Force of Wills. Alright, my opponent has a gajillion pieces of permission over there, but no threats. I have a couple different 3-mana plays here. I do have a Yorion that I can put to my hand at some point. I think I'm more interested in just like flashing back this Faithful Mending and using that as potentially a bait spell. I think Intuition is kind of the gem in my hand. Ooh, no. No, no, no. No, 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 no. Kind of Force of Will. I think pitching the Supreme Verdict here. I'm a little unsure on that. I don't have access to the second white. Which card would I like to keep of these? Probably the Intuition. I'm gonna pitch the Tameo. Alright, I have weathered that storm. I don't think I play Intuition into Daze here. This would be a bad Faithful Mending if I don't cast this card. I don't think I cast anything here, which is a little sad. Currency Converter not particularly strong right now, but it can give me some rogues. My deck is just so slow compared to like the mana costs that Delver operates at. Like, I have 2 3-drop options. Plus, this is kind of like a 3-drop option as well. Alright, let's loot. I guess I discard the land. Alright, my opponent has a 6/6 Murktide Regent. Presumably with some amount of counter magic backup still. Okay. Intuition target you. I can pay for that. I will go ahead and fetch. Grab Savannah. Tap this, make a treasure token. Pay the 2, get blown out by Daze. Get blown out by another force. I don't have a lot of time. Surgical on Intuition. Alright, I think my opponent just like legit wants to know what's up over there. Which is fair. I don't have a lot of time versus Murktide Regent. I have a couple of draws. Faithful Mending does not actually get me to another turn, right? It's 2 life. Yeah, so that is still a 2-turn clock. And Dragon Rage Channeler is here to help. This answers a Channeler, but does not answer a Murktide Regent. Yorion doesn't answer that. I'm going to go ahead and loot. Try to hit something that can deal with Murktide Regent. Alright. Discard the land. I will go ahead and just take out the Dragon Rage Channeler. That can technically die to it plus Lightning Bolt next turn. I am out of Lightning Bolt range for right now. Okay, my opponent's got a land. So it's just fully, can I find something that answers Murktide? I get a few looks. Teferi good enough here? I think Teferi is probably better than Shuffle. Yeah. I know my opponent's Hellbent. I am putting up a damn good fight. Despite all these Hedron things that are in my deck working against me. This gives me my 4th color for Uro. Oh man, it's 2 creatures again. That's tough. Alright, how big is it? It is a 6/6, so it is lethal in 1 swing. I will go ahead and get a treasure token. Or no, it's not lethal in 1 swing if Uro does a thing. We're always Teferi plussing. Uro can bring me to 7. I kind of feel like I'm supposed to brainstorm and look at more cards, though. I think I've just... Okay, Swords to Plowshares. Yes. Don't think I want Urza's Saga. I think I want to save this treasure. Maybe I want Urza's Saga. Like, it's big. If Currency Converter can keep doing work. No, I think I need the colored mana. So we play Uro. Gain 3. Put this into play. Sacrifice this. Fetch to 6. Tundra. Swords on Murktide. I'm dead to Lightning Bolt for not playing Urza's Saga. But I preserve a treasure token, which matters for getting Uro and Faithful Mending and such to do their thing. I do also have this Teferi. Damn. Okay. That turns Dragon Rage Channeler into a 2-turn clock as well off the Surveil. Alright, they are going to kill my Teferi. But life got a little tough. I mean, life was already tough. But like, now I can't do this. So we're fully on the loot plan. I'll discard a Misty. I'm gonna pop a Yori into my hand, and I am gonna go ahead and just make a land drop here. I have something that can block the Dragon Rage Channeler next turn. Again, I am dead to a Lightning Bolt, though. Ugh. This is definitely scary. Alright. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 total mana possible. I think I go ahead and preordain first accordingly. Bottom the land. 7 mana left. I'll top a preordain. Cast another one. I'm fully dead if Yorion does not resolve, but if Yorion does resolve, this is pretty good. Alright, I guess show me a red elemental blast. That beats me here. So I guess I can go ahead and do this. Get a treasure. I can technically blink this currency converter and untap it. I don't imagine that I will want to sacrifice 2 treasures to activate it, but I guess it's technically better than not doing it. As it stands now, this Dragon Rage Channeler does have to attack. Hey, like that. My opponent's last card might be Force of Will. Yeah, that has to attack. Alright, now a dead to Lightning Bolt at any point. Like, let's be clear about that. Let's not get too excited. However, there's a chance. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 total mana. Let me just do that. I'll put back Miri's Guile and Caracas. I think to play around Brazen Borrower, I just don't use this yet. Just clock my opponent for 4 while making some Urza Saga Construct tokens. And, like, I get to leave up quite a few pieces of interaction. Okay. A Delver is fine as of right now. So I'll go ahead and loot. Spin the Caracas. I don't super need that right now. Like, I don't expect Yorion to die. We're just focusing on making decent sized construct tokens here that are outside of Lightning Bolt range. Go ahead and go 1 and 2. Do this again. Get a Haywire Might now. Oh, right, Grafdigger's Cage. I think I'm just continuing to loot here. How much is it to do this? 2? Yeah, I think I'm just going to continue to loot. Hedron Alignment can go away. I don't think that is happening. If I attack with both and bounce this and their last card is Brazen Borrower, I die. So I'm just going to attack with the Construct token. And I think I'm comfortable calling it a turn. I don't think I need to play this out. It just feels like currency converter food. Okay, we won a game. We're gonna have to do that one more time. We're both getting low on time. Force of Will's not great. Neither are Fluster and Spell Pierce, though. And, like, I didn't keep track of what turn that was. I imagine that was like a turn 12 or turn 13 game. Both of those cards become much weaker later on. I think I like Force of Will's ability to just hit a creature earlier on. I, again, don't really feel like I have great tools in my sideboard. This deck does not have enough lands. Like, it's a double removal spell hand with Force of Will backup, but if I don't hit extra lands, I'm fully just dead. I think I have to mulligan it, and I'm sad about it. This is much worse than the last hand. On 6, I think I have to just keep it, though, and hope for the best. Like, if my opponent keeps a slow hand like last time, I can have time to draw out of that. My opponent has kind of seen what's going on with my deck at this point, though. Like, they got to surgical me. And I think I'm going to remove the upkeep stop on my opponent's turn. I think I need to catch up a little bit on clock. Alright, my opponent now has a creature. I will not reveal Terminus. What awful timing. I can brainstorm it back, which I will probably end up doing. Again, I just hate Urza Saga in this deck. The disappearing land problem is so huge. Okay. Since I removed that upkeep stop, I did not have a chance to cast my Brainstorm prior to that Pyroblast going to their hand. That's what I get for trying to catch up on some clock. That probably means I feed that a Faithful Mending and just give my opponent a chance to Pyroblast that instead. Okay, cool. All right. I'm going to go ahead and Brainstorm. I'm going to put back Hedron Alignment and Terminus, and then pass, and hopefully I get to Terminus away this Delver. I will get to do it around Spell Pierce. It avoids blast effects as well. Alright, down to 14. Oh my gosh, it's a miracle. So let's cast that, see if we can take the Delver off the field. Oh, we do. Fantastic. Let's cast a Spell Pierceable Preordain, trying to pave the way for these to resolve. Hedron Alignment will go on the bottom. This is fine. I'll top that. I'm gonna fetch a Tropical Island here. I'm fine with playing a Dazeable Sylvan Library. I don't even want this card to resolve. I want my opponent to counter this because this is just going to eat up too much of my clock. But they don't need to know that. Yes, Daze is great. So we are both in about the 5-minute range on time. My deck is slower to win than my opponent's, but my opponent is taking longer on their average game actions than I am. So I've got that going for me. I'm just going to continue to not play Urza's Saga. I'm going to pass the turn. I will be casting an Intuition at my opponent's end step, assuming no major changes. All right, Intuition, target you. We're doing it around Spell Pierce and around Daze, not around a red Elemental Blast. I don't think I need Faithful Mending right now. Again, we're going to hold off on Urza's Saga for as long as possible. We're going to go ahead and Intuition here. All right, that ate a Force of Will. So we'll Yorion to hand. Okay. Slow game is slow. Let's go ahead and attempt a Yorion. And I will play out a Haywire Might, I guess. Still worth points of damage. Oh, my opponent has flooded out pretty darn hard here. Alright, Saga ticks up. I found Uro, which is fantastic. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and just zoom on in here. I'm going to bounce my own Yorion in response to that, so that they can't cast the backside of Brazen Borrower. Alright, that was good enough to get the GGs. I'm going to keep playing until I have officially won, but I think Urza Saga with Force of Will backup and Yorion coming is absolutely enough to just bury my opponent. Delver's fine. Not willing to give up Yorion to stop a Delver. Ugh. So, we're still 2-0 with this deck list. I've been recording for 2 hours. Orcish Bowmasters is probably $100 now. Alright, I have kept my opening hand here. A little awkward in that if I cast this Preordain, I don't have Force of Will available anymore, but like, I'm an Uro deck. Oh, hey, yeah, this is fine. Probably I don't actually want that land right at this exact moment. I probably want the Force of Will. I really want a Brainstorm is what I want. Probably playing against 8 cast or something in that general ballpark. Looking less likely now. We might be closer to the Storm ballpark, yeah. Okay. I probably just need to play a 2/2 as a thing that attacks and blocks here. It's not impressive. But I've got an active Force of Will, so I can stop a combo attempt. Oh, hey, I did a thing with Riftsweeper. I took the thing from under their Chrome Mox. It's actually hilarious. Cool. Another land drop means that I don't have to commit to Urza's Saga immediately, which is nice. There are timelines where I'm just supposed to put Yorion into my hand so I have double Force of Will available. I get Savannah here. Any colored mana source gives me Uro. But I think just getting my extra card and working towards this body is very important. Yeah, we'll put the Urza Saga into play. But it sure doesn't cast the card that I just drew. I guess I could have used Urza Saga the first time. I'm just going to force of will that. Yeah, so like this is awkward. Like I give up Urza Saga value if I play Uro. My opponent's an Echo of Eon's deck, so I probably need to just put the Uro into play. And I'm not like happy about this. I'll fetch green, green, blue, blue. Alright, and we Uro. Okay, my opponent tanked for a long time and Uro resolved. That also does not cast my Miri's Guile. And I still don't have enough mana to activate the Urza Saga, but I do have a 2-turn clock in play in terms of raw power, so I've got that going for me. So my opponent is probably a mono blue Narcid Echo of Eon's deck. I have seen 2 basic islands, which makes it less likely that Orcish Bowmasters is a thing that's happening, but it does not fully rule it out. I will go ahead and make my token here. Pick up a Haywire Might that can potentially exile a Mox Opal. We will attempt 8 damage. Yes. I think I get rid of Mox Opal in response and just deny my opponent a mana. I will still put a land onto the battlefield. My opponent does not want to trade with Riftsweeper. I'm going to cast a Savine's Reclamation. Not sure which of these I target. I think it's just the Might. Just helps me out if things get weird over there with something crazy like an Ensnaring Bridge. So this is my opponent's big turn. They have a draw 7. They can do something cool. There is a Karn that can get an LED to enable an Echo. Okay, there's LED. All right, there is the Echo. So my graveyard gets cleared, so no flashback on Savine's Reclamation. But just because they've drawn 7 cards, it doesn't really mean a lot. Like, the problem with this, like, mono-blue combo deck is it doesn't actually win the game by executing its A plus B combo. And I've hated this deck because of that fact. There is a new Karn. My opponent could get, like, an Ensnaring Bridge. They do. They will be dead to a Prismatic Ending. Okay, sure. They still have 4 cards in hand. Like, I still have 3 creatures that are able to attack. Okay, there's a Chalice on 1. That is a Supreme Verdict. I can cast that and kill a Hull Breacher, but that doesn't seem great. I probably need to kill the Karn. If I attack like this, Karn can live. If I attack like this, Karn can't live, but I always lose Haywire Might. It's annoying because I want to use that to get rid of Bridge. But I probably have to just 100% kill Karn here. Okay, that went as predicted. I gain a little life. Karn's dead. I'll call it a turn here. They've got another non-conventional soul land. And we might get to see a little bit of tension between Ancient Tomb and Ensnaring Bridge here. My opponent needs to empty their hand so that I can't attack and kill them. But they don't have the ability to cast some of the expensive stuff without using Ancient Tomb, which is spooky. Okay, we've got 1 safe attack this turn with Riftsweeper. Okay, it's another Hull Breacher. That's fine. I am okay with this. I wonder at this point if I am supposed to cast Supreme Verdict to just take that other Hull Breacher out of play. I'm gonna go with no. I'll take a little bit of a risk and put this into my hand. It kind of sucks if it gets wheeled away, but it gives me a way to draw an extra card next turn by blinking my own Uro. Verdict's just awkward. I guess wheeling for my opponent, generally speaking, is awkward because if they can't re-empty their hand, like they do risk just getting whacked by Uro. Alright, Days Undoing went under there. Alright, they are going to Days Undoing, and I will lose the Yorion. But my Uro does get to attack here. Assuming my opponent cannot play 2 cards at instant speed. I am not going to swing with the Construct. I'll put a land onto the battlefield. I don't get to draw a card because of Hull Breacher. Otawara. That's annoying. I will do this. And I'll leave that chilling in the graveyard, which is maybe safer than in my hand. Yeah, but it is turn 8. My opponent has cast 2 different wheels. They have not won the game yet, despite drawing 14 cards that I did not. This is why I do not like this deck. Like, put an Orcish Bellmaster in there and just kill me while you wheel. Alright, something's happening. Oh, an actual factual hard cast of Seagate Restoration. The good news is my creatures will be free to attack. The bad news is my opponent is going to do disgusting things in the meantime. Chalice is fine. I mean, I'm going to try. The goal here is to just poke the Narset, so that if my opponent minuses, they do lose that. But I think these Urza Saga tokens just beat me. Don't have enough gas to bring back Uro. I haven't drawn a cantrip to, like, well, I guess a cantrip wouldn't be great right now because of Chalice. I guess their Ensnaring Bridge can get in the way of them winning. Oh, that just beats me. That gets Mycosynth Lattice right now, and I don't beat that. Okay, there is the Mycosynth Lattice. I am comfortable conceding here. If I wanted to be super spiteful, I could like run down my opponent's clock some more, but I've already been recording this league for 2.5 hours, so we're going to keep it rolling. Unfortunately, my sideboard is not great here. Like, I don't have access to the like Energy Flux, Stony Silence style hate cards that I think matter a lot. I play a Dress Down to help with Urza Saga tokens. I can play like Deafening Silence and I guess Flusterstorm. I can play a Return to Nature, I guess. I'm boarding out the Hedron Alignments this time. Like, my opponent is going to be messing with my graveyard and hand constantly. There's no way I can possibly line this up. Like, as much as I want to keep the dream alive, I just don't think it's anywhere close to reasonable this time. Since that's happening, I can get rid of a little bit of the support for it. Riftsweeper has some text in this matchup. I guess I'll keep it. Question mark, question mark, question mark. The Sky Turtles are very slow here. Taps an artifact. I think a turtle is just better than that. And I don't know that the claws will hit with an appropriate timing. I have lands and spells, but there's no way this is a reasonable keep here. This is not very good either, but I think I have to keep this one. I will pitch the Mystic Sanctuary. I know that I am looking for some sort of counterspell effect here. How is Deafening Silence? I guess I will keep that as the top card of my deck. It's not insane here. All right, my opponent has Urza Saga for their turn. Urza Saga is going to be quite good against my opener that was trying to like stop the anti-combo stuff. I guess I can like clean up the tokens with Supreme Verdict later. I guess that's not the end of the world. So we will just Deafening Silence and hope that I don't get punished for not removing LED. Urza Saga ticks up on their turn. All right, they do have the Ancient Tomb. I am going to need more land. I also can't play more than one spell, so I can either play the Miri's Guile or the Prismatic Ending. If I play the Miri's Guile, I can Faithful Mending on my opponent's turn. Awkward doing that into a Hull Breacher. I think I have to take out the LED. If I don't do that, my opponent could have access to double LED on their turn, which could be gross. It's just like awkward because I'm not guaranteed to hit my next land drop. But if I play the Miri's Guile and my opponent like has something for the Deafening Silence, I could really get got. Facing down 4/4s as of now. It could get worse. Alright, I'll eat 4 here. I'm what I would consider healthy enough. I am not excited about Teferi, but I'm okay playing it to buy some time. If my opponent has a Hull Breacher, they have to do it in response here. Is fine. That means I will go ahead and just bounce that back to their hand so I can actually draw the card with it. The Teferi saves me some life and makes me get closer to Supreme Verdict, just clearing out the board. I don't think I can leave the Hull Breacher in play and risk Soul Land into Hardcast Echo for 6 mana. Okay, so that's what they get for this turn. That's their 1. Sure. That second Urza Saga is absolutely a pain. Alright, are they coming at me? Okay, they are gonna go ahead and kill Teferi. Alright, and they can still play a Hull Breacher, as this is more than one non-creature each turn. Please let me rip the land and Supreme Verdict all 3 of those. It's so good. Negative. 4, 8, 9, 10, 11. I can Faithful Mending to gain 2 life, discard 2 cards. An Intuition for a land drop that doesn't get me anywhere. Ponder doesn't get me anywhere. Yeah, I'm dead. GG's. Alright, took a break from recording for a couple hours. Nothing has changed. We still don't have enough lands in the deck. My opponent has also revealed a Yorion deck. My opponent asked, the mirror? I don't think so, friend. I don't think so. This is fine. I'm probably going to throw back a Force of Negation here. Alright, my opponent's on a Windswept Heath this game. Into a Ponder, maybe? Into a Green Sun. I'm not going to counter that. That's not worth 2 of my cards here. I think I'm going to continue to play without that upkeep stop, at least for right now. Do I know what I am pondering for? Removal? But I don't want to pitch Uro to Force of Will, so I think I'm just going to play a Tundra and pass for right now and have a safety net. I don't know exactly what my opponent could throw down this turn yet, but I kind of want to be prepared for some of the worst case scenarios. That's fine. My opponent having the mana acceleration when I don't is a little spooky. Alright. My opponent is potentially in like that hot Bant ballpark. With another Uro here, I now think I am comfortable pondering. I think I just take the Teferi of this, and I think I'm happy enough with that. Ponder's fine. This Force of Will needs to be reserved for a higher caliber play. Do I just bounce that? I think I'll just bounce that. This isn't a problem unless there's a Wasteland. Like, I think I can let my opponent hit additional land drops without that being the end of the world. Sure, that's fine. Now I'm going to go ahead and fetch to clear my own cantrip here. Another Uro. If my opponent had access to Wasteland, I already would have gotten Wastelanded. They don't have Wasteland for now. I can probably let this stick around for a turn and just go ahead and accelerate with one of my 3 copies of Uro at least somewhat safely. Spell Pierce, not the best. My opponent's made a bunch of extra land drops already. Yep, Brainstorm's fine. Although Brainstorm finding Wasteland is, again, spooky. But a regular old fetch land from graveyard is not a problem. Oh, we are just going deep on the collars here. No. I don't like that. I think I go ahead and Force of Will that. Pitching 1 copy of an Uro. I only have 3 cards in graveyard as of right now, which is not the best. Wire Might, not really a good card here. I might need to save Teferi to bounce that Uro. I'm going to go ahead and play another Uro from hand here. Try to just dig a little deeper or find a removal spell or something. Swords is great. I think I have to leave them with the Ramunap and answer their Uro. And then next turn, I can Teferi bounce this. And I'm going to leave the swords up for mana efficiency rather than just play out a 1/1 Haywire Might and save myself 1 point of life that way. Yeah, Brainstorms are fine. Again, if they find Wasteland, it is a problem. But I guess if they Wasteland me, I can Ramunap, or like Swords a Ramunap. But we're presumably looking at some sort of 5-color Green Sun, Minskin Boo nonsense. That Grist is played around Spell Pierce, unfortunately. Uh-huh. Don't like this at all. I can't get this Grist out of play permanently very easily at all unless I just like luck sack my way into Prismatic Ending. I think at this point I have to Swords to Plowshares the Ramunap Excavator, because if my opponent finds a Wasteland, I'm just kind of donezo. Like, I can Teferi bounce an Uro or something and like make some progress in that capacity. Oh, Caracas is a great draw there. Yeah. I wipe out my whole graveyard to do this. Yeah, Ice Fang Coatl is fine. Something, 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 Snow Basics, something, something, something. Alright, we've got an Intuition. It is a reasonable value card. I'll hold up Caracas rather than playing Haywire Might. Haywire Might is not going to do me a lot of good right now. Alright, so they're going to go ahead and attempt to take out my Uro. I will attempt to bounce it in response. We'll see if they have a Swords for it. They do. Alright, so they get their own Uro now, and I am definitely on the back foot. Like, I can bounce this Uro forever, but like, I'm not doing well, especially when you consider that their Yorion is coming. And again, while that's not going to deal damage to me, like Yorion blinking this nonsense and drawing a bunch of cards will bury me in the same capacity. I think this needs to be a land. I've got like this Intuition to work with here. Guess I don't want to tap that land immediately. Mostly doing this so I make sure that my Intuition resolves, because that feels important right now. Sure. I can temporarily just bounce an Uro out of play and then make a decent Intuition pile. I think I'm into that. We have drawn a Hedron Alignment. I don't think there's any world where I can possibly go for that as a kill here. Like, my opponent just has too much going on too quickly here. So I would like an Uro. I would like a Savine's Reclamation. What's my third? Probably just something else reasonable to bring back with Savine's Reclamation, but I don't really have another reasonable thing. Sylvan Library? Yeah, maybe Sylvan Library. Alright, I have gotten an Uro for later. I'm gonna lose Teferi to combat, take 2 damage, Gristle Plus again. Just gonna have 6 this turn. Ugh. There's another Uro. Yeah, this is one of those times where I'm not technically dead. It's going to take me another 5 minutes to die, but I think this game is like far past the point of no return. Oh, my opponent is taking the initiative with this. Oh, okay, no, it's Omnath instead. Yeah. At least that's legendary, right? Like, I can bounce that. I guess it's just like bounce, draw a card, though. Ugh. Alright. Alright, Savine's Reclamation. Target my Teferi. Conveniently is playing around my Spell Pierce without trying, which is brutal. At this point, I think I am comfortable conceding for my sanity. Like, I can bounce their Omnath and their Uro forever, but like, I'm gonna get hit for 4, then 5, Grist Ultimates at some point. Like, the writing is on the wall here. So my opponent is playing the same sort of deck I am, but I have no ability to punish their greedier mana base. And this is just like not going to be realistic in terms of speed for winning. Unfortunately, kind of looking at my sideboard options here, it's just like not good. which has kind of been my thoughts about the sideboard in most rounds. Spell Pierce is just going to go out for an Urza Saga target that can fight against some of their stuff. Like I can return to nature to attack an Uro. Like do that over one Preordain, have a couple of outs to an opposing Uro other than just Caracas, but I don't like my side of the matchup here. Okay, I still need more mana than this, but that's been the case with just about every hand. I can do a turn 2 Brainstorm to try to fix some of this. Luckily, I have something to pitch to a Force of Negation. This is potentially just game-winning. It is not game-winning. Good. I'm gonna just bury 2 blue cards, which I will be more than happy to just redraw here. A green sun for X is 3 for a Ramunap Excavator or a naturally drawn Ramunap Excavator are now like definitely a problem. Abundant Growth is not a problem. Do I Sorcery Speed Brainstorm? Like, would I Prismatic Ending this? I think I would Prismatic Ending that. So let's go ahead and Brainstorm now. One in exile, one in play. They're just my 2 worst cards, though. And it's not close. I don't think I can start working towards this until much, much later in the game. Which is very unfortunate. Putting both of those back so that I can continue to hit my land drops does mean that I don't really have Force of Negation available anymore. Slightly awkwardly, it means, like, fetching for Savannah means that I can't as easily hardcast Force of Negation next turn. If I want to Urza Saga. I'm not sure that I want to Urza Saga this early. Ooh. No. Absolutely not. I just can't beat Life from the Lone Wasteland with what I've got going on here. Am I going down a currency converter, grind you out that way plan? Like play Urza Saga and currency converter this turn? That is a path to victory that I think I would be comfortable with. So let's start going down this route. And I do get to decide whether or not I'm going to make treasures or rogues. I'll definitely be looting with currency converter. Like, it's my plan to discard the Force of Negation. Like, I don't super want that. Oh, that's annoying. So I will go ahead and discard the Force of Negation. I don't want that right now. I will not exile it, as I want to leave that in there for an Uro. And my currency converter is gone. I am fine with drawing an Uro, I think. Though I won't do it this turn. I think despite the fact that my opponent has Caracas, I'll still take one of those. I think the extra card draw is just going to be nice. Brainstorm's not a problem. In my ideal world, like, my opponent plays an Uro this turn that I snipe from their graveyard. That was a very fast shuffle with that Ponder. Leave my shit alone. I need it. I'll pick up a Tundra to just clear because I don't want the other cards. And we'll start making some constructs. They're so small right now, though. Let's go ahead and continue to make these here. I don't think I'm interested in Haywire Mighting that. This will at least draw me a card. Get rid of one of your cards here. Go ahead and cast a Preordain. Bottom both of those. Those aren't what I'm looking for right now. Swords is okay. I'm going to crash in for 3. I'm going to leave this in play for a little while as it increases the power of my clock by a decent amount. Alright, we're chilling. Alright, it's back. I still don't even know that I'm going to cast it. Like, this is turn 7. Seems like my opponent has an Ice Fang Coatl. Doesn't have Death Touch yet, so I don't really care about it. Why don't you exile a card from your graveyard there, friend? And I think I do go ahead and just like take a card in a life here rather than put the Yorion into my hand. I don't really have anything that I want to blink with the Yorion as of right now. Okay, no end of turn Icefang Coatl, which is something that I thought my opponent was going to do there. Oh wow, my opponent's conceded. Yeah, so my opponent in chat said I really needed that loam to not get exiled. And that is so very clear based on how the rest of that game went. I don't think I have great options for changing up my stuff here. I'm going to go ahead and whack the submit button and kind of hope things play out similarly where my opponent just gets stuck. Okay. Perhaps not my ideal. I don't think this is going to be worth mulliganing. I'm going to try to catch up a little bit on clock here. I'm behind. I don't think time is going to be an issue this game. Like, we've both been playing pretty quickly, but given how other games have gone with this deck, and just how physically long it is taking me to record with this deck, I want to shave corners where I can in terms of clock. Okay, sure. I can bounce a Dryad Arbor with this if I really want. But that card, like, legit might just be a playable 7-drop. Just treat it like it's limited, crash in with a giant flyer. I don't want that. I will take the Uro of this pile. And I believe shuffle from here. I'm not gonna bounce the Dryad Arbor. I may get punished by a Minsk and Boo this turn for not doing that. Oh, fuck. Yes. Hopefully it's bounceable. That is bounceable. This is just a channel ability. Alright, Wasteland Brainstorm, Endurance, Green Sun. Okay, that's what they've got. I think I just kind of accept my opponent wastelanding me once. I've got pretty rough mana requirements with this deck. Get turtled. My opponent now has to discard a couple of cards. Sick value. Oh, they discarded an Uro. It is sick value. Alright. Very Hedron Alignment, right? Well, can I? Alright, what happens if I Intuition for 3 of these? God damn it. I have to. I have to try. 1 goes to hand, 2 goes to graveyard. I Uro send 1 to exile. No, it's a fucking Endurance. The fucking Endurance fucks it up. God damn it. No. Alright. I take the Ponder out of this stuff then. I'm gonna go ahead and fetch. Go with a Savannah so I can't get knocked out of anything in particular. And I'm just gonna Intuition now before my opponent has a chance to brainstorm into more nonsense. Alright, what am I doing with this? Do I play the long con? I don't think so. I think I just take 3 very reasonable magic cards. Like an Uro, a Savine's Rack, and then like a Sylvan Library or something like that. I don't know, I have a second Uro in hand. And hope to clear Endurance and then do some other stuff. Alright, I've gotten the Savine's Rack kind of as expected. So here's the thing. If my opponent does... Damn it! I was about to say, if they don't have the natural green land, they're forced to pitch the Green Sun to cast the Endurance, and because I have enough stuff in graveyard, I can just do the Uro. Oh, they're going for their own Uro immediately. Oh, I see, so that they can wasteland me and keep me off of my own Uro. Yeah, that's good. It's annoying. Let's find an answer to this Uro on my turn, please. None of that is an answer to Uro. I'll take the fetch. I can Savine's Wreck a Sylvan Library into play. I think I'd rather just clear my top cards and look for an exile-based removal thing for Uro. I want Tundra here. Let's go find an answer. An answer. The top of the library isn't going to look great, though. All right. Let's take this out. I am very scared of a Life from the Loam. I guess Green Sun just represents Ramunap Excavator as well. Okay, but they're just going to hold up Endurance in this turn cycle. That's perfectly reasonable. Do I need to draw Return to Wasteland, or Return to Nature for Wasteland? I might. So with no priority pass here, for my opponent to, like, say, do something in response, I can just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and attempt my Uro. Pyroblast. Not great for the home team here. I'm also down a very significant amount of clock at this point. At this point, I'm not totally sure what's going on over there. I imagine this is just like end of turn fetch, endurance, nuke my graveyard. That is what's happening. Again, I have this other hidden Uro, which was kind of one of the things that I was working towards earlier. Yuck. I need, and now Return to Nature doesn't take out Wasteland. Oh, this just gets Leovold. This is a look, right? Yeah. Sure. At this point, I probably just die to a pair of 3-power creatures. Like, oh, this doesn't even draw me a card. This targets. Yeah, at this point, I don't think I can realistically win. I am comfortable conceding. GG's. This is a slow hand. I think I am going to keep this and hope that it does something. Yeah, we're dead. GG's. Like, I'm just playing against Dredge in all likelihood. Maybe not dead. And, like, a normal, fully functioning control deck list has an exceptionally difficult time. Yeah, we're playing against Dredge. I am going to take that. No, I can't take that out. This is my end step. Alright, that's occurring. That's unfortunate. Anyway, a normal, fully functioning control deck almost never wins game 1 versus Dredge. Like, it is quite tough. And I am not a fully functioning normal control deck. Yeah. Like, this is just not good. I am going to try to lean on Supreme Verdict to pretty much single-handedly win this game, but, like, my opponent has a looting in yard and otherworldly gaze in yard. Oh, cool. All right, just hands off the keyboard. I am going to die. Oh, no more creatures in play. How many bridge from belows? 1 bridge from below over there. I guess I need to do some things to try and just make it a couple of turns. But, like, it's not really gonna happen. If all that happens this turn is I take 3 damage, that is an incredible boon for me. But, like, this is an instant, so my opponent can still just dig deeper in their deck. It'll come at the cost of removing Gemstone Mine, though, so, like, that's a thing. And I don't have just, like, an endurance to bail me out. I'm gonna hold up hard cast Force of Negation. I don't think I do it on an Otherworldly Gaze, since my opponent has 2 of them, but I would probably do it on a Faithless Looting or equivalent. Okay, not hitting more Narcomoebas, which is great. Couple bridges in there now. I will just die to this 3/3. Verdict is not looking great. Okay, we're doing a thing. Take your damage. Yeah. Like, I can cast a Supreme Verdict, but it's not great for me. I guess I can Force of Negation that Cabal Therapy. My opponent have another Cabal Therapy? Yes, they do. I can Force of Negation this one to protect the Supreme Verdict and hope they do some prized amalgam nonsense. That results in me actually being able to cast this verdict. But I just, like, cannot let them know that the Supreme Verdict is in my hand, or the jig is up. They can play the guessing game of, like, what was I trying to protect? I was not trying to protect an Uro. Colossal Sky Turtle. I wanted them to sack the prized amalgam. I wanted to just kind of completely clear the board. Instead, I'm gonna put this to hand this turn now. Call it a turn, see if I die somehow. Like, this is normally a pretty miserable play experience, and now I just have a bunch of extra dead weight. Okay, the Icarids are here. So starting next turn, things get scary. I'm probably about at the point where I concede. The Icarids just produce a minimum of 4 zombies on their own. There's plenty of fodder in there for them. Yeah, I don't see the path out. I'm gonna concede. Ugh. I don't even have that much, like, good graveyard hate here. So I think I'm looking at these 7. I guess this also works, right? How does this work with the wording here? Target player shuffles up to... No, I think that's voluntary. I don't think that's actually graveyard hate. We got 7 cards here. Probably keep the blue things. I need to get rid of cute nonsense. My options for winning this game are so sparse. I require a target to sacrifice this. My opponent's not going to give me a lot of the time, which is not great for me. I guess the Faithful Mending can go. Well, that's better than these Hedron alignments. Let's fully give up on that dream, I guess. I can keep Currency Converter. I don't like it. I have a Surgical. That's a good start. I am going to need more than that, but I'm going to hope that, like, the combination of Currency Converter, Sylvan Library, and a draw step will get me to where I need to go. Okay, my opponent has ultimately kept a 5-card hand here. Again, this Urza Saga just sucks, though. Like, this isn't casting my white cards. It's a disappearing land that I potentially have to play on turn 2 to do Sylvan Library things. But I think this is kind of one of those. The hand is good enough to not mulligan because it has Surgical. Right, Icarid and Bridge from Below in graveyard. I would love to draw a regular land here. Negative. We'll go ahead and drop a Sylvan Library. All right. There is an Otherworldly Gaze here. All right, there's a Narcomoeba. I'm good with that happening. There's no treasures. I'm probably interested in... Ooh. That's happening. I'm probably interested in Surgical extracting Bridge from Below here. Silent Gravestone. That's good to know about. Okay, cool. I'm going to hit land drops. I think I need some raw cards here. Despite the fact that my life total does matter in this matchup, I'm going to go ahead and eat some damage here. Urza Saga is keeping me from double spelling this turn. Like, if this was a white source, I get to Prismatic Ending this, Swords to Plowshares, Icarid, Surgical, Bridge from Below. But I don't get to do all that. I think I'm going to go ahead and start with a Brainstorm. Teferi's very expensive here. Mary's Guile is redundant with a Sylvan Library in play. I go ahead and ship those off. Probably finding a Tundra. And then I think I call that good. All right, Icarid can come back. Is not coming back. I'm fine taking a little bit of Narcomoeba damage. That is not a problem for me. Cephalid Coliseum is a problem. I think I just have to let that resolve, and I'll take out Bridge from Below's at the end. Probably. I can hopefully just nuke my opponent's entire graveyard here. Okay, yeah. So I will surgically extract bridge from below in response to that. All right. Bridge, 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 bridge. Oh, they have Flamekin Zealot. That doesn't see a lot of play anymore. An Ashen Rider, a couple copies of Silent Gravestone. They've basically not really sideboarded. And notably, since I took the bridges out of the graveyard, due to an intervening if clause. Intervening if clause. Oh man, it even tells you in the Moto chat now that it's an intervening if clause. Due to that, you don't actually get the token. They have named Endurance, which I do not have. I'm very glad they did not name Ponder. End of turn. I'll go ahead and do a little bit of looting. Force of Negation is a great pickup. I'll discard a Ponder and exile it with my Converter. These are fine cards. I don't think I'm paying life here. I'll put back a Force of Will. And honestly, I don't think I'm ready to start Uro nonsense yet. I'm going to go ahead and put that on top. Go ahead and float a mana. Oh yeah, this exiles target card. Card's so bad. All right. You exile a card. The Icarids I can take care of. The Hogaaks I can take care of. The Dread Return is a little bit of a pain. Yeah, let's just like never sweat Dread Return. Naturally found Terminus. I think I'll just hold up Force of Negation for right now. I missed the second Icarid. Yeah, I should have taken out one of the Icarids. No, maybe the Icarids aren't a problem with Currency Converter, though. Like, I exile one, block one. Yeah, just get out. Make a 2/2. Go ahead and block this. Hall of Heliod's Generosity not producing any colors of mana for the purposes of Prismatic Ending is really annoying, though. Okay, I found more stuff. That can go on top. This can go on top. And I'm just going to go ahead and fetch out another island here of some kind. So Mystic Sanctuary will be on in a minute. I want this to be a trop. I don't have enough mana to activate Currency Converter as well, though. Yeah, I think in worrying about Dread Return, I lost this game to Icarids. I can still maybe set up like Terminus and get myself out of this, but it's not good. Okay, yeah, they're not going to Hogak. They're just going to hit me. I think that is much better. I got a 1. I can't fetch for white for Supreme Verdict now. Yeah, Swords to Plowshares is a respectable name. I'm a mana short of Terminus. Okay. Alright, so they take my Ponder. Ooh. Yes, I will put that under. That gets me a 2/2. Let's see what I can sculpt here. These are bad. Is there Icarid food? Yeah, there's multiple pieces of Icarid food. My Currency Converter and loot, that doesn't get me anywhere. I am 1 mana short of Terminus. Yeah, I think I lost this one for not getting rid of another Icarid. It's still possible that I don't win, even if I do that. Ugh. Alright. It's done. It's over. We tried. I think the best way to describe this league, and I'm going to use an old boomer anime reference. You know in Dragon Ball Z, how Goku wears those clothes with weights, and then he drops the weights, and he's like, oh, I can fight so much faster now, you know? That's basically how this league felt. We were essentially playing a Bant Control deck list, where we had, and I'm going to count the Hall as a dead card, where we had like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 main deck suboptimal cards. And I was able to steal 2 wins despite that. but this deck just has so much tension and just runs into so many common problems. So I was tripping all over those 3 colorless lands all league. I also just did not feel like I had enough mana. I would want to first of all, don't try to play Hedron Alignment in Legacy. Just don't. Like, as much as like love to encourage the jank, there was not one point in this league where I felt like I could attempt to cast even one copy of this card. And that's pretty telling. Like, between normal interactions, counterspells, red blasts, endurance, that was rough. But like, between tripping over those colorless cards on things like my prismatic endings and casting multiple like colored pip things on curve, to Urza Saga being a disappearing land, to being relatively vulnerable to Wasteland, Mystic Sanctuary not coming into play, untapped because we did not control 3 islands. Like, there were a lot of innate problems with the mana, and we were stumbling over mana while trying to do something that wasn't up to snuff by Legacy standards. And because we were trying to do something cute, we couldn't play a hard graveyard hate card. Like, if this had been a Relic of Progenitus, if this had been a Tormod's Crypt or something like that, instead, I almost certainly win that game versus Dredge. But this deck was just... it was trying to do too many cute things. A lot of times in Legacy, I feel like you can get away with doing one cute thing. You can play a pet card, you can play a pet strategy. But when you are trying to be an Urza Saga, Hedron Alignment, Bant Yorion Control decklist all at the same time, it's too much. Like, maybe if you want to make Hedron Alignment work, you just like make it a mono blue combo deck. You go an Ancient Tomb route or something like that. That works well with the intuitions. But most of the time I was just trying to use an intuition as a slow and very clunky way to just get some card advantage. Like, this deck was like trying to win with Uro while having, what did I say, 12 or 18 suboptimal cards in it, and like the Uro did some work sometimes. But this was a brutal league to play. I'm not gonna lie to you. Almost every round except the last one went to time or very close to it. And the reason that is because there's just so much jank filling this deck list. I did my best to keep a smile on throughout this one, but this one was rough. I hope it was somewhat enjoyable anyway. And Matthew, I hope I've given you some food for thought on how to improve this one. Don't donate again. I don't want to try to make Hedron Alignment work again. I don't want to try to fix this. This is one that I think you just scrap. All right, folks, I hope you have a great rest of the day. And if you're a masochist and you want to buy some of these cards, promo code ThrabenU will save you 5% over at Cool Stuff Inc. Have a great rest of the day. See ya.